Alexander the Great stands as a colossus in the annals of history, a name synonymous with unparalleled military genius and boundless imperial ambition. His brief but incandescent life carved an indelible mark across the ancient world, forever altering its political and cultural landscape. This is the saga of a man whose existence was a whirlwind of conquest, profound cultural exchange, and ultimately a poignant tragedy. It is a story that continues to captivate, speaking of glory, ambition, and the relentless march of destiny. In 356 BC, within the royal city of Pella, Macedonia, a legend was born. His father was Philip II, the formidable king who had transformed Macedonia into a dominant power through his military reforms and strategic brilliance. His mother was Olympias, a princess from Epirus, known for her fierce will and strong character. From his earliest days, Alexander was imbued with the belief that he was destined for greatness, a notion reinforced by the extraordinary circumstances of his birth. Legend claims that on the very day he entered the world, the temple of Artemis at Ephesus, one of the seven wonders, was consumed by fire, an omen interpreted by many as a sign of his future impact. Alexander's upbringing was meticulously crafted to prepare him for kingship. For 3 crucial years, he was tutored by none other than the renowned philosopher Aristotle, a privilege few in history have ever known. Under Aristotle's guidance, Alexander delved into philosophy, literature, politics, science, and medicine, acquiring a breadth of knowledge that would inform his later rule. Simultaneously, he received rigorous training in the arts of war, mastering horsemanship, strategy, and combat. His indomitable character was famously demonstrated when, as a boy, he tamed the wild and seemingly untamable horse, Bucephalus, a feat that foreshadowed his future mastery over men and empires. The path to power for Alexander was swift and brutal. In 336 BC, his father, Philip II, was assassinated under mysterious circumstances, leaving the Macedonian throne vacant. Alexander, barely 20 years old, immediately seized control, swiftly eliminating any internal rivals who might challenge his claim. His authority was then tested by rebellious Greek city-states. He responded with decisive force, utterly destroying the city of Thebes as a stark warning to any who dared defy Macedonian rule. With his position secured, Alexander was ready to embark on a grander vision. Alexander inherited his father's long-held dream, the conquest of the vast and wealthy Persian Empire. In 334 BC, he led his forces across the Hellespont, initiating one of history's most audacious military campaigns. His first major confrontation with the Persians occurred at the Battle of the Granicus River. This decisive victory opened the gateway to Asia Minor, signaling Alexander's intent and military prowess. The following year, in 333 BC, he faced the Persian king Darius III himself at the Battle of Issus. Alexander's tactical brilliance led to another crushing defeat for the Persians, forcing Darius to flee the battlefield in disarray. Following his victory at Issus, Alexander continued his march south, entering Egypt in 332 BC. There, he was largely welcomed as a liberator from Persian rule, and it was in Egypt that he founded the city of Alexandria, which would become a beacon of Hellenistic culture and learning. His most monumental confrontation with Darius III came in 331 BC at the Battle of Gaugamela. Despite being vastly outnumbered, Alexander's superior strategy and the discipline of his Macedonian phalanx secured a decisive victory, shattering the Persian Empire's military might. After this triumph, Alexander proclaimed himself the rightful successor to the Persian kings, effectively ending the Achaemenid dynasty. With the heart of the Persian Empire now under his control, Alexander's ambition drove him further eastward. He pushed his armies through Bactria and Sogdiana, regions that tested his resolve and the endurance of his men. His relentless pursuit of new horizons eventually led him to the Indian subcontinent in 327 BC. This was a land of unfamiliar terrain, formidable armies, and exotic cultures. His most significant engagement in India was the Battle of the Hidaspes River, where he faced King Porus and his powerful war elephants. Alexander's forces, though challenged, ultimately prevailed in a hard-fought victory. Despite his triumph at the Hidaspes, Alexander's relentless campaign had taken its toll. His troops, having marched and fought for over a decade, were weary and longed for home. They had reached the limits of their endurance, and, facing the prospect of even more formidable kingdoms further east, they refused to advance further. Alexander, for the first time, was compelled to heed the will of his soldiers. With great reluctance, he agreed to turn back, beginning the long and arduous journey home. The dream of conquering the entire known world remained unfulfilled. Upon his return to Babylon, Alexander began planning new expeditions, his ambition undimmed. However, his grand designs were cut short. In 323 BC, at the young age of 32, Alexander fell ill and died. The exact cause of his death remains one of history's great mysteries, debated by scholars for centuries. Was it a fever, a lingering illness, or perhaps even poisoning? Regardless of the cause, his sudden demise left a monumental void and plunged his vast empire into immediate turmoil. The world had lost its greatest conqueror. Alexander left behind an empire of unprecedented scale, stretching from Greece to India. Yet he had failed to name a clear successor, leading to immediate and intense power struggles among his leading generals, known as the Diadochi. Within a few decades of his death, the empire fragmented into several independent Hellenistic kingdoms. These successor states, including the Seleucid Empire, the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, and the Antigonid Kingdom of Macedon, would dominate the Eastern Mediterranean for centuries, each vying for supremacy and perpetuating Alexander's legacy in their own ways. Despite its political fragmentation, Alexander's conquests initiated the profound Hellenistic period, a transformative era characterized by the fusion of Greek and Eastern cultures. Greek language, art, philosophy, and political structures spread across vast territories, while Eastern influences permeated Greek thought and customs. This cultural synthesis profoundly influenced art, science, and philosophy for centuries, laying foundations for future civilizations. Alexander the Great remains an enduring figure of fascination, a military genius whose life, though tragically short, reshaped the ancient world and continues to inspire awe and study. And that's the story of Alexander the Great. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more biographies and adventures from the past. See you in the next video.